This morning on Good Morning Idaho, a peaceful vigil following the assassination of conservative pundit Charlie Kirk turned violent on the steps of the Idaho State Capitol.
Our nation is broken. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
Kirk's murder now heightening concern about the rise in cases of political violence across the country. And a day of mourning not only for Kirk, but for the thousands of lives lost 24 years ago today on September 11th, 2001.
You don't have to look very far in the news to find hate and tragedy, and our goal is to help people remember and unify before tragedy strikes again.
We meet the volunteers working for the community in Twin Falls to make sure they never forget. Plus, a former Boise School District student looking to sue the district, alleging in graphic detail bullying and harassment that took place from elementary through high school. A former student claiming staff failed to report and even participated in her abuse. Good Morning Idaho starts right now.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, on Idaho News 6. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris, and we start with developing news out of Utah this morning, where the manhunt for a suspect in the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk continues. Kirk was speaking at Utah Valley University, answering a question on gun violence when a single shot rang out, striking Kirk in the neck. That shot was fatal. Thousands were in the crowd watching as witnesses recalled the horrific scene.
I was 15 feet away, and it was really hard to witness. As the guy said shooting or shooters or something like that, you just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry, you just see his neck just like open up, and there's just like so much blood that just came out. It was horrible.
Now, the shooter is believed to have fired from a nearby roof. Two people who were considered suspects early on were later released. The FBI says they are reviewing security footage, but they say the quality is not great. Of course, everyone had their phone out there. Hopefully they can find some details in some of that. Meanwhile, in the nation's capital, the House of Representatives holding a moment of silence, and President Trump, who knew Kirk personally, sharing a message of grief.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror.
Later in the evening, hundreds seen gathering for a vigil in the Utah State Capitol, where lawmakers, students, and neighbors came to gather and share a prayer and a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Here at home, hundreds mourning the loss of Kirk at a candlelight vigil at the state capitol. A mostly peaceful event disrupted, though, by a moment of violence between a counter-protester and the attendees. Neighborhood reporter Brady Caskey was there.
Wednesday night, hundreds of Idahoans gathered here at the Idaho State Capitol for a candlelight vigil in remembrance of Charlie Kirk. I'm your neighborhood reporter Brady Caskey, and I was here from the start of the event all the way to the end, where folks gathered in prayer and song.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
He was just a big representation, and he got to youth and cared about what youth thought, and that everyone's just super sad, and we all are grieving for the family and grieving for Charlie.
Just to see this many people show out to support a man that 90% of us never met, that shows the true impact he was able to make on many of our lives.
The event was primarily focused on remembrance, but emotions and tensions were high, which led to a fight between attendees and some protesters.
There's violence that happened here tonight where there was a protester. He was calling all kinds of names at Charlie Kirk and just hating on his life in general. And some guys out here jumped him, and Charlie Kirk, he stood as a Christian man, and as Christians, we do not support violence. I don't believe in violence at all. So I ran over as quick as I could and pulled 4 guys off of this dude getting jumped. He was just balled up.
The flags at the Idaho State Capitol will stay at half-mast until Sunday in remembrance of Kirk. I'm Brady Caskey reporting for Idaho News 6.
It was President Trump who first confirmed Kirk's death in a post on his Truth Social media platform. In subsequent posts, the president directing all American flags to be flown at half-staff through the weekend. Idaho's congressional delegation, Governor Brad Little, initially responding to the shooting with statements on social media, all offering their thoughts and prayers to Kirk's family, with several explicitly condemning the violence, saying it has no place in American politics. Upon learning of his death, another round of statements praising Kirk for his character and his contributions to conservative politics, and offering well wishes to his family. Congressional leaders reiterating calls for an end to political violence, following the death of Kirk and violence in Minnesota to Pennsylvania to Capitol Hill.
This morning, the murder of Charlie Kirk is heightening concern about the rise in cases of political violence across the country.
Our nation is broken, and I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
Then candidate Trump was shot at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania last year. An audience member, firefighter Corey Comparator, was killed. Months later, a second attempt on Trump's life at his Florida golf course. The suspect is now on trial. This past June, a Minnesota state representative and her husband were shot and killed in their home. And in April, police say a man tried to kill Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, setting his home on fire.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. It is not okay, and it has to stop.
This year, threats against members of Congress are surging, with nearly 14,000 compared to 9,000 during all of last year. Many are asking, is the political temperature too hot? And is social media adding fuel to the fire?
A lot of it has to do, I think, with a fragmented media landscape. People can express their views on social media freely. And I think that breeds a certain amount of incivility and division.
Historian Mark Updegrove compares today's political divisions to the 1960s.
We saw the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, Malcolm X in 1964, and Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy in 1968. It shook this country to its very foundations. And it was a time of great change and upheaval. Eventually, we came out of it. But I think we saw then that political violence was not the answer to our problems.
As for the threats against Congress, more funding has been allocated to boost security. Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
This is a developing story, and we'll continue to bring you the very latest throughout our newscast. Of course, you can find the very latest always, anytime on idahonews6.com and the Idaho News 6 app. 2 students are wounded and the juvenile suspect is dead after a shooting at a Denver area high school yesterday. New video shows students fleeing from Colorado's Evergreen High School and ringing a doorbell at a nearby home. The students trying to find a safe place to hide.
I banged on this guy's house. I started banging it, I started kicking it, and he opened the door. I told him what happened, and then Charlie and a bunch of other people came in.
I just saw kids dropping their backpacks and everything, kids puking.
Police say first responders reached the scene within 2 minutes and were in contact with the suspect about 3 minutes later. In total, officials say more than 100 members of law enforcement swarmed the school. The shooting marks the 47th shooting at a U.S. school this year. Former Boise School District student Ashley Green has filed a $1 million tort claim against the district, alleging nearly a decade of bullying and harassment and claiming that staff not only failed to stop it, but in some cases took part. Green says the bullying began in 5th grade and was dismissed by Principal Beverly Boyd. Court documents allege that during one meeting, Boyd became frustrated and struck Green's hands as they rested on a desk. In another incident, after reporting a suicide attempt to a school nurse, Green was sent to Boyd's office, where her attorneys say she was hit on the head. In middle school, Green says she was sexually assaulted by a fellow student at Les Bois Junior High, but staff failed to report it to law enforcement. The bullying allegedly continued into high school, where Green says she was suspended by Vice Principal Tim Ellinghaus for contacting the bully's mother. She's now seeking damages for emotional trauma, psychological injuries, and medical expenses.
Now, the Idaho News 6 forecast.
All right, good morning to you at home It is 6:09, and as you get ready to start your Thursday morning with us, you'll notice it's a nice cool start waking up. You've got 53 waking up in Mountain Home, 57 in Boise, 41 in Stanley, 51 even heading into Pine. It's a nice cool start to your morning, and as we continue to get ready for the next couple days, you'll notice those shower chances stick with us through at least Friday. By tomorrow, we'll be sitting in the upper 70s. So I'll be walking you through what our showers look like over the next couple days and also how good the weekend looks for us here.
When we get back, we're remembering the September 11th terror attacks and highlighting two survivors from that fateful day, one saying every day that he's alive is an extra day.
All right, our neighborhood of the day is Jerome, and right behind me you can see their 9/11 memorial that our Joey Martin got video of yesterday. If you head out here and you take any photos yourself, send them in on idahonews6.com. But otherwise, you've got lower 70s this afternoon and a chance of showers and storms.
Thanks, Sophia. Let's take a look at your national headlines at 13 minutes past the hour this morning. New data will be released later this morning on the cost consumers were facing for everyday items last month. It's called the Consumer Price Index, and it's a measure of the change in the price of goods and services from month to month. And it's also an important economic indicator. So for August, economists largely expect to see the price index rise higher than the previous several months, which could affect the Federal Reserve's decision on whether it's going to lower interest rates. The wife of former Senator Bob Menendez is scheduled to be sentenced today. Nadine Menendez and her husband were convicted of exchanging political favors for things like cash and gold bars. The former senator was convicted of bribery and sentenced to 11 years in prison. Nadine Menendez's trial was delayed, though, due to breast cancer diagnosis that she had, and her lawyers have asked for a sentence of just 1 year in prison rather than the 8 years, saying she needs additional surgeries and a lengthy sentence could kill her. Today marks 24 years since the 9/11 terror attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. A series of memorial events have been planned to honor the lives lost that day. A ceremony is planned in New York for the thousands who died in the collapse of the Twin Towers. Meanwhile, President Trump will attend a 9/11 observance ceremony at the Pentagon, where 184 others were killed. And a third observance has been planned in Stoystown, Pennsylvania, at the Flight 93 Memorial, where 44 people were killed. As the nation mourns, those who lived through the attacks say it still feels like it happened just yesterday. ABC's Danny News spoke with two survivors of that fateful day.
On the 24th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, we are hearing from those affected on how their passions have driven them forward. For Tom Lowe, who is now both a chef and doctor, he was working on the 73rd floor of the South Tower when the first plane struck.
And I kind of look back. I can see out the windows, and it's raining paper.
Despite being told he could remain at work, Tom listened to his instincts and raced downstairs.
Every day that I'm alive is an extra day.
More than 2 decades later, Tom keeps those days very busy, working as an anesthesiologist by day.
Welcome to the kitchen at Chi.
And a restaurateur by night. A few years ago, he opened a Chinese restaurant in Manhattan called Chi.
This is my dream.
Now to just outside Toledo, Ohio.
My heart is always with New York, but this is home.
Where born and raised New Yorker Murda Gashar Jordan is working to honor all of the victims, including her late husband, Rob. She last spoke with him on the phone while he was working on the 92nd floor of the South Tower.
He said, I'll call you when I find out if we're evacuating. And we said our goodbyes, the I love you.
At her local library, Murda has been fundraising to build what will be called the Never Forget 9/11 Memorial. She wants it to be a place to reflect and learn, especially for the younger generations.
We are responsible for them to know this history.
The memorial will feature both indoor and outdoor elements as Murda tries to make sure it's ready in time for the 25th anniversary next year. Regardless, though, Murda says she hopes these stories, like her husband's, are told for centuries.
Just a true love story. It was a fairy tale, and it was ours. And now I share that with the world.
And Murda is still taking donations, which you can contribute to at neverforget911memorial.org. She's even planning to build a statue to honor the canines who worked that day and the many months after. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Hello. Hey, we're here at the Meridian Police Department ahead of a tribute to the 9/11
victims, and we're going to talk with Meridian law enforcement coming up. Good morning, Idaho. I am neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker here at the Meridian Police Department, where we're getting ready for a tribute that is going to be given for the victims of the attacks of 9/11. Now, I'm here joined by Chief Basterechea and Chief Bloom with Meridian Police Department. Now, Chief Basterechea, can you tell me about, 24 years after the attacks, you're still doing this tribute every single year. What does that mean to you and your department?
Well, I think for us, it's really fulfilling a promise to those first responders who gave their lives that day in defense of our country and to help their communities. And so for us, when we said we'll never forget, we meant we will never forget. And so we want to remember them each and every year. And you recognize I said gave their lives because their lives weren't taken. They gave them for their country and their community.
And Chief Bloom, what does it mean to you, honoring the lives that were lost, many of them law enforcement, and, a lot of the unity that we saw in our country following the attacks 24 years ago?
Yeah, well, I think that the important thing is, like Chief Basterechea just said, this is a promise and a commitment that we made to the generation of firefighters, law enforcement officers, and paramedics and first responders, that we wouldn't forget the sacrifice that they made. And it's incumbent upon us as the stewards of our profession to make sure that the next generation remembers and understands the importance and significance of our public service and the commitment that we have to these communities.
And so that tribute's going to begin right here at the Meridian Police Department at 6:40, including a moment of silence and the lowering of the flag. Riley Shoemaker, Idaho News 6.
Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
All right, it is Thursday morning or Friday Eve, whichever you like to say. The weekend is right around the corner, and as we get ready for it together, we are still looking at that cool and dry pattern. And in comparison to last week, guys, just remember Monday and last Tuesday, we were sitting in the triple digits, and this week we're with the upper 70s to lower 80s. Now, the biggest weather maker we're looking at and what's been influencing that cool down is this closed off low. So as this has made its way on an inland, this has brought in that increase in clouds that we've been looking at throughout our afternoons, and also some shower chances. And as we continue through today, we still do have shower chances on the board. Even right now on radar showing that we are looking at some showers moving through Bend in Oregon and also along eastern Idaho. Some showers also starting to spark up and catch them in as you head over into Salmon. Throughout the rest of the day ahead, it'll be pretty quiet up until 1 o'clock. That's when we'll start to see a few scattered showers organize over our mountains. Make your way into the later end of the day. By 9 p.m. we're looking at, looks like scattered showers continuing off in our mountains and down just into Melba, Silver City, even portions of Glens Ferry and Mountain Home. If we do see any showers today, it looks like they'll more than likely pass throughout the later afternoon and into the evening. By Friday morning, it's quiet and dry waking up for all of us, so it doesn't look like we'll run into any rain for tomorrow morning's commute. But you'll notice throughout the afternoon, it remains pretty quiet up until we head into the later evening. This is when we start to see those showers organize over our mountains again and then over into eastern Oregon. And the main concern with these showers coming in is still that possibility of flooding over in Oregon. But the good news is that it doesn't last very long, because as we head into our Saturday morning, it's nice and quiet. But we still do have a flash flood watch that's been extended through 9 o'clock today. They've already seen some heavy downpour, and with the showers still possible for today, it wouldn't take much for those areas to flood. So into tomorrow, still a slight chance of showers. We've got upper 70s as we get ready for our Friday, and then the weekend still looks really nice and dry, a little bit warmer than when we were starting at the beginning of the week. You've got lower 80s both Saturday and Sunday. The 70s, though, return by Monday and Tuesday. So we're now getting that nice fall weather for our week ahead.
In Mountain Home, family resources can be tough to come by. How one parent turned her challenges into a place for community support. In a rural town like Mountain Home, neighbors say community resources are scarce. That's why one mother created a space for kids and parents to escape. I'm your Mountain Home neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel at the Watering Hole, a community center by the parents for the parents. It's an area for kids to explore, a place for parents to connect, and for families to bond. The Watering Hole, A new community hub in Mountain Home offers something many neighbors say they've been missing.
So it's just the safe space to come and be. Parents can see their kids all throughout this space.
Executive Director Tiffany Durant says the idea grew from her own experiences in motherhood.
I went through postpartum depression in this town and felt very isolated.
Postpartum depression or anxiety can impact moms during pregnancy or in the baby's first year. In Idaho, postpartum depression nearly doubled the national average in 2021, according to America's Health Rankings United Health Foundation. Mama? The Mountain Home nonprofit opened in May and runs entirely on volunteers and donations. Mom Candace Shipley says it's making a noticeable difference.
It's nice to have the conversation with like other moms that have their kids, and they can, they kind of talk about, and you're like, oh wow, I actually understand that. I deal with that too.
The membership-based space also holds group classes for different ages. Experts say postpartum depression can show up in many ways, including feeling sudden sadness and anger, anxiety towards the baby, or feeling robotic in everyday actions. If you need immediate support, you can call 988. And we have resources linked for you on this story on idahonews6.com. I'm your Mountain Home neighborhood reporter, Sahana Patel, for Idaho News 6.
Thanks for joining us this morning on Good Morning Idaho, everyone. We've got a lot more in store in our last half hour. Here's a look at what's still to come from your neighborhood reporters.
In federal court, jurors hear new testimony in the trial of former Caldwell Police Sergeant Ryan Bendewald.
In Meridian, e-bikes continue to be a headache for some neighbors. I'm speaking with neighbors and Meridian police on the change they want to see on our roadways.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Good morning, Idaho. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris. It's good to have you along into our last half hour this morning, and lots to get to from our large team of neighborhood reporters this morning, like our Riley Shoemaker, closely following the federal trial of former Caldwell cop Ryan Bendewald, with new details alleging he sexually abused women during traffic stops. Plus, coming up, our Meridian neighborhood reporter Allie Chipke brings to light concerns of neighbors hearing the roar of little motorbikes racing through their streets 3 to 4 times a day. Real concern there, especially with the e-bikes these days. But we start this morning with the developing news out of Utah, where the manhunt for a suspect in the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk continues this morning. They still have not caught a suspect. Kirk was speaking at Utah Valley University, answering a question on gun violence when a single shot rang out. The shooter is believed to have fired from a nearby rooftop. 2 people who were considered suspects were later released. The FBI says they are reviewing security footage this morning, but the quality they've seen so far, they say, is not great. This is a developing story, of course, and we will continue to bring you the very latest as they search for a suspect throughout our newscast. And of course, you can always find the very latest anytime on idahonews6.com and the Idaho News 6 app. Turning now to the news here in the Treasure Valley. Testimony continues later this morning as prosecutors build their case against former Caldwell police officer Ryan Bendewald. Neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker has been in the courtroom following the very latest developments and joins us this morning live. Riley?
Good morning, Roland. That's right. The former officer faces 3 counts of deprivation of rights and 2 counts of federal bribery. Now, I was in the courtroom all day yesterday. We heard from one of his accusers. We also heard from some prosecutors and officers in Canyon County who worked alongside Bendewald. Trial continues for Ryan Bendewald, the former Caldwell police sergeant facing 2 felony counts of deprivation of rights under color of law and 3 counts of bribery. Prosecutors say between 2017 and 2021, he used his badge to exploit women during traffic stops and other encounters. Thursday's testimony started with Chambray Anlin, who is currently incarcerated on drug charges. She told jurors Bendewald made a sexual proposition to her after a 2021 traffic stop and said she felt targeted by police afterward. On cross-examination, defense attorneys focused on Anlin's criminal record and prior drug use. Playing body camera footage they say contradicts her account, showing officers being friendly during a traffic stop where she appeared under the influence, as well as noting that Anlin at one point had a romantic fling with another one of Bendewald's accusers. Jurors also heard from former Caldwell officer Tylee Lanhan, who worked under Bendewald's supervision. He recalled incidents where he believed Bendewald minimized situations and described him as someone who often, quote, did his own thing. Later, testimony shifted to the Canyon County prosecutor's office. this. Andrew Hawes and former Canyon County prosecutor Brian Taylor detailed how officers worked with confidential informants, at one point waiving misdemeanor charges for people who offered information. They testified about emails Bendewald sent regarding a woman he described as helpful to investigations. Communications now under scrutiny as part of the case. The final witness of the day was Jesse Cooper, a Caldwell police officer who was present at some of the incidents described in testimony, including that 2021 traffic stop of Chambray Anlin. Cooper is still employed with the department, and his testimony will continue Thursday. Testimony continues today at 9 a.m. at the federal courthouse in Boise's North End as prosecutors continue to build their case against Ryan Bendewald. A neighborhood reporter, Riley Shoemaker, Idaho News 6.
3 Boise City Council races are taking shape ahead of the November elections. Remember, council members are elected to 4-year terms, and thanks to recent changes in state law, they are now elected by district. As it stands, it's a 3-way race for District 2. Incumbent and former state lawmaker Colin Nash is running for re-election, challenged by 2 newcomers, Josh Elstrom and Derek James Smith. In District 4, it's smooth sailing for incumbent Jordan Morales, who faces no challengers. In District 6, incumbent and former Boise Bicycle Project founder Jimmy Halliburton will face challenges from Lynn Bradescu, a former commissioner of the Boise City-Ada County Housing Authorities, as well as another familiar face, former city councilwoman Lisa Sanchez, who previously lost her seat after accidentally moving out of her district.
Now, the Idaho News 6 forecast.
All right, good morning to you at home. I hope you're having a good start to your morning. And as you get ready for the bus stop, kiddos, you've got 57 on the way there. Slight chance of showers, so grab the umbrella and also the light jacket. By the afternoon, we'll see that same chance continue and also be sitting with the mid-70s. So a lot cooler into today. I'll be showing you what these showers look like throughout your Thursday and then also what the weekend looks like ahead.
This evening at the Twin Falls Visitor Center, the Magic Valley 9/11 Memorial is set to get underway outside the Twin Falls Visitor Center. Our Joey Martin had the annual flag walk yesterday where hundreds of Twin Falls residents and students gathered to show their support.
9/11 means to me that we lost a lot of our good people and that we should support them even though they're not here.
The director of the 9/11 Memorial highlighting the importance of community and unity during this time.
You don't have to look very far in the news to find hate and tragedy, and our goal is to help people remember and unify before tragedy strikes again.
The memorial is set to start at 5:30 outside the Twin Falls Visitor Center. In-N-Out looks to be out in Meridian, with City Council denying the popular burger chain's appeal for a location along 10 Mile and Lost Rapid Drive. Neighbors said it wasn't a good fit.
The last thing we need, in my opinion, is another drive-through.
Neighbors raised concerns about traffic and the chain's late hours. In-N-Out had offered to close the location at midnight instead of its usual 1 or 1:30 a.m., but the council was not swayed.
Safety when it comes to e-bikes and other small vehicles continues to be a hot topic in Treasure Valley neighborhoods. I'm Meridian neighborhood reporter Ali Tripke speaking with neighbors in South Meridian and Meridian Police about the change they want to see. While interviewing Brittany Robinson near her home in the Calistoga subdivision in South Meridian, we witnessed the reckless motorbike behavior that several neighbors are concerned about.
It just seems to be an ongoing issue. I've been tracking them about 3 to 4 times a day, random times a day, just speeding. I mean, going fast, popping wheelies.
Robinson says over the last few months, she's witnessed several close calls involving e-bike riders, and she has been in close contact with Meridian Police to explore possible solutions.
We've had calls where children are almost hit, baby strollers are almost hit.
Lieutenant Brandon Frazier says the new trendy electrical bikes without pedals are actually considered motor vehicles under Idaho law and are expected to follow the rules of the road.
The operator of the vehicle can get a ticket for not having a driver's license, not being insured. The parent of the operator of the vehicle can get a ticket for letting their child or an unlicensed driver drive the vehicle.
There's not a lot of regulations around e-bikes, unfortunately. I want to bring awareness to the issue of it.
Late last month, Meridian Police asked for the public's help in identifying a juvenile suspect who evaded officers on a motorbike. I asked police if there was an update.
And there are people who knew who that person was. and didn't like the fact that the person was engaged in what they were engaged in. The bulk of feedback we get are people who are irate. They don't like that behavior. They've almost been hit. They've had a family member who's been injured, and they want it to stop.
Neighbors say more education and regulation could help prevent serious accidents.
The city of Meridian tells me they're working to create some educational public safety signage to put up in local parks, as well as provide more guidance on e-bikes and small vehicles online. In Meridian, I'm neighborhood reporter Ali Tripke for Idaho News 6.
In Caldwell, I'll introduce you to a teacher inspiring a love of science for the last 26 years.
The Idaho News 6 Allergy Report is brought to you by Boise Valley Asthma and Allergy Clinic.
All right, your allergy count. We've got sage in the high category and ragweed and quinopod both in the low. So heads up, if sage is your allergy, that's going to be what's in our air today. So I'll continue to keep you up to date as we move through our allergy season together.
For 26 years, one Caldwell Middle School teacher has made it her mission to fuel a love of science for her students. I'm our Caldwell neighborhood reporter Leslie Solis stepping into Dr. Melissa Sparrow's classroom, learning about the Idaho's 2026 prestigious Travelers Award.
When you step inside Syringa Middle School, you'll find Dr. Melissa Farrow teaching students about what she loves most.
Radiation, ultraviolet.
Science.
I want my students to smell science, to roll around in science, to lick science. I want them to step outside the classroom walls.
Dr. Farrow has been teaching at Syringa for 26 years, and while it's been a passion of hers,
I grew up saying I do not want to be a teacher.
And now she teaches in the same classroom where her passion started as a young student.
I find so much joy in showing science to other people.
Dr. Farrow has received a long list of teaching awards, most recently the Travelers Awards for Teaching Excellence by the NEA Foundation, one of only 48 nationwide.
Some incredible Caldwell teachers who inspired me to want to be a scientist and eventually to be a science educator. And I think that it now becomes my responsibility to let other people stand on my shoulders, to do work with mentoring new teachers, to do work with advocating for my profession.
Dr. Farrow tells me she's won many awards, but the greatest one is seeing her students thrive. And she says she will continue to help guide Caldwell's future generations. I'm your Caldwell neighborhood reporter Leslie Solis for Idaho News 6.
All right, neighborhood of the day is Jerome, and this is actually footage of the 9/11 memorial that we got from our very own Joey Martin yesterday. You've also got lower 70s this afternoon and a chance of showers. I'll be walking through the rest of the week ahead.
Welcome back on this September 11th, marking 24 years since the deadly terror attacks on American soil. The time is now nearing 6:46 local time. At the same time, the first tower was struck in New York City 24 years ago. Now the nation honors the moment with a national moment of silence. We've been keeping an eye on everything from New York City this morning. Let's take a look.
The crash site of Flight 93, where people will also be gathering this morning to remember those who we lost on that fateful day 24 years ago. Now we will pause for the moment of silence.
Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
All right, your time right now is 6:46, and as you wake up with us this morning, take a look at your highs this afternoon. You got upper 70s along your valley floor. So it is going to feel like fall today with upper 60s to follow into your mountains. And as we continue to move through your day, you'll notice that down to our south, we still do have that closed off low. And so that's bringing in that cooler weather and also our increasing rain chances for this afternoon, and as well as a few clouds. Now, a lot of what's happening and has been occurring is that we've been seeing on and off showers across Oregon and along our mountains. We have seen a few sporadic showers within the valley floors, but it hasn't been anything super intense or really all at once. It's been pretty on and off. Right now, your radar shows that we are picking up some showers over in Bend, and as you make your way into Pendleton, even Salmon and Ketchum, but you'll notice that the valley floors are pretty quiet this morning, and they'll remain that way. And as we head through the later end of the day, by 1 o'clock, we'll start to see a few showers bubble up across Stanley and along eastern Oregon, but I want you to note that by the time we head into 9 p.m., this changes, because you'll start to see more organized showers from Mountain Home down to Glens Ferry and along your east and west central mountains. By tomorrow, that's when we start to just wake up with those nice and quieter skies. Few clouds will be lingering and have increased over Baker City and across our west central mountains, and then into lunchtime, it's pretty quiet for all of us, and we just have a few straggling clouds out there. By 6 o'clock, those showers really start to reorganize, so across Stanley, Idaho City, up to McCall and even Cascade, down into the lower Treasure Valley. That's where we'll start to see a few isolated showers pop up. But by Saturday and into the afternoon, all that remaining moisture will be pretty light in nature, and it'll exit out just to our east, and it'll be a pretty overall good, cool, and quiet weekend. Now, we still do have that flash flood watch in effect for today, and it's extended through 9 o'clock. So this is as you make your way across eastern Oregon and into the central portions of it. The reason we're seeing this is because yesterday some of those spots, and even in Oregon a little closer to us, gained just about half of an inch upwards towards an inch. So with the more rainfall they're expecting today is mainly across eastern Oregon. That is why they're still seeing that flash flood watch, because it wouldn't take much more rain for those areas to flood. So they're at that marginal risk for some excessive rainfall to come through, but either way, we still have a dry weekend in store, so it's not going to be raining throughout the weekend. It's still going to be nice and cool. You've got lower 80s into Saturday and Sunday. By next week, mid 70s make a return, and it's just going to feel overall like a nice wake up to fall. Your time right now is 6:49, so let's get a look at your roads.
The Idaho News 6 traffic report is brought to you by Champion Windows.
All right, good morning. If you're just checking in with us, we're giving you a live look of downtown where commuters are heading out on their Thursday morning. As you make your way across the roads, it is already looking like a busy morning along I-84 eastbound and as you approach Cherry Lane. So just a heads up, you will run into some stop and go as you approach this area. Also coming up, our Love Your Neighborhood, where this week we got to go to Darling Cookie Co.
Love Your Neighborhood, brought to you by ICCU.
This week's Love Your Neighborhood takes us to Darling Cookie Co., where the cookies aren't just desserts, they're works of art.
Find Santa amidst all the chaos. Do you know where he is?
No, right there.
Yes, right there. So this is my piece, and it won the first challenge. I've been baking and owning the business since 2018, and I specialize in decorated sugar cookies. Yeah, I was on the Food Network last year. I was scouted 3 times, and I turned down the opportunity each time. I was just too anxious, didn't feel like I'd perform well under pressure. And then last year, I just made it a goal to kind of just say yes and to whatever opportunity came my way, and decided to apply just to see what happened, and they called me that same day. So they were like, yeah, we have been wanting you on the show. So this was a piece that I made last year, I believe, for something called Cookie Con. I need a creative outlet, and so this has been so fulfilling for me. I just started doing it at my home, just kind of while my kids were asleep and my husband was working. I just was kind of like in the depths of postpartum depression and really needed something for myself. And so I wanted to try a hobby that would be something just for me. To me, it can be very zen, it can be very relaxing, but it's also really fulfilling and satisfying as a creator. So I teach cookie classes. Just connecting with the people in my community is a huge thing for me. I do custom cookie orders. Being part of people's special moments in their lives is really cool. To have the very first interaction with them, to getting the theme, to drafting the design, baking, decorating, and then being able to hand over those cookies to them for them to be able to celebrate a big moment in their lives is really cool. I have 3 girls, and it's really important for me to show them how you can make a life that you love with doing something that you love.
And that's a wrap on this week's Love Your Neighborhood. From Darling Cookie Co. in Boise, Sophia Cruz, Idaho News 6. Oh, that's delicious.
Now we'll look outside from the Treasure Valley Chevy Dealers Tower Cam.
In this morning's GMA First Look, why some consumers are worried about possible holiday-flation.
Are you completely canceling the holidays, or are you buying your stuff now?
What it's not too early for is starting to build your Christmas gift shopping fund right now.
Consumers shopping earlier and earlier, fearing price increases across major categories this upcoming holiday season.
We saw a lot of the companies bringing in inventory early this year. They tried to get in front of the tariffs. The tariff inventory really starts to cycle in as you get into that November, December time period. It'll be interesting to see how the retailers play it. We're hearing that prices are going to go up across the board on many items.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have the expert advice you need to make it from Halloween to New Year's without breaking your budget. With your GMA First Look, I'm Rebecca Jarvis, ABC News, New York.
5 minutes before the hour. Welcome back to Good Morning Idaho, everyone. We're just wrapping up here. In case you missed it, these are the top stories that we're following from our neighborhood reporters.
Wednesday night, hundreds of Idahoans gathered here at the Idaho State Capitol for a candlelight vigil in remembrance of Charlie Kirk. Many attendees gathered in prayer and song in remembrance of Kirk, but high tensions led to a fight between the crowd and a protester. The flags at the Idaho State Capitol now fly at half-staff, as ordered by President Donald Trump.
In federal court, jurors hear new testimony in the trial of former Caldwell Police Sergeant Ryan Bendewald. Bendewald is charged with 2 counts of deprivation of rights and 3 counts of federal bribery. Wednesday, jurors heard from Chambray Anlin, who testified he propositioned her after a 2021 traffic stop. The defense challenged her credibility, citing her drug convictions and body camera footage. We also heard from current and former members of the Canyon County Police and the Canyon County Prosecutor's Office. Testimony continues Thursday with Caldwell officer Jesse Cooper back on the stand.
In Meridian, e-bikes continue to be a headache for some neighbors.
Robinson says over the last few months, she's witnessed several close calls involving e-bike riders, and she has been in close contact with Meridian Police to explore possible solutions. Lieutenant Brandon Frazier says the new trendy electrical bikes without pedals are actually considered motor vehicles under Idaho law and are expected to follow the rules of the road. Neighbors say more education and regulation could help prevent serious accidents.
And of course, you can learn more about all these stories on our website. Just head to idahonews6.com.
Now, the Out the Door forecast, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors.
All right, 6:57 is your time, and as you get ready to head out the door, it's a chilly start to the day, so grab the light jacket and the umbrella. You've got upper 50s. Heading into the afternoon and evening, we'll keep those shower chances and storm chances with us, and we'll top out in those upper 70s, so a lot cooler into today. All right, let's get you ready now for your morning commute.
The Idaho News 6 traffic report is brought to you by Champion Windows.
All right, 6:57 is your time, and we're giving you a live look of downtown where it's Thursday morning and the commute time's already starting to pick up. So just a heads up out there. You've got I-84 eastbound Caldwell to Garrity at 37 minutes. This is the most congestion we're looking at this morning. Garrity into Eagle just under 9, and Eagle into downtown also coming in at under 7 minutes. So it looks like people are eager to start their Thursday morning rolling. It's already a busy day on the roads.
And no question about a busy news night overnight as well. And this morning, as we leave you, we wanted to take you to New York City, whereas tradition has it, they read the names of the victims of 9/11 throughout the morning.
Christine, John,
have a good morning, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Victor Daniel Barbosa. David Michael Barkway. Matthew Barnes. Melissa Rose Barnes. Sheila Patricia Barnes. Evan J. Barron. Renee Barrett Arjun.